Hi everyone, my name is Olivia McGann, and today I'm excited to talk about beetroot juice and how it as a supplement can affect athletes. So, moving into why take beetroot juice and kind of the scientific principles behind it is first, beetroot juice is naturally rich in inorganic nitrate, and after ingestion through the enzymatic activity of nitrate reductase and then bacteria within our mouths, nitrate is reduced to nitrite. And then finally, once in the stomach, nitrite is then reduced to nitric oxide. Any remaining nitrate and nitrite that is not converted to the nitric oxide can then be absorbed into circulation and then become active nitric oxide when the body is in a state of hypoxia, such as during high intensity exercises, which is why it's hypothesized to be so beneficial in this type of exercise. And then, as a result of the nitric oxide production, vasodilation occurs, and this leads to the beneficial exercise adaptations seen and hypothesized from beetroot juice supplementation. And then also as a result of increased vasodilation, this allows for increased uptake of skeletal blood glucose in the cells to then reserve muscle glycogen stores. Increased vasodilation allows for greater amount of oxygen to reach the muscle cells, which then reserves ATP stores and then improves overall utilization of oxygen within the body and then increases mitochondrial mass to result in increased power and force production during athletic performance. So I really liked this slide from one of the review articles I looked at. I think it does a nice job simplifying everything. So after beetroot juice supplementation, after nitrate is finally reduced to the nitric oxide, we can see that as a result of nitric oxide, there's vasodilation, mitochondrial biogenesis, glucose uptake, and then all of these are going to increase skeletal muscle function to increase efficiency and then decrease fatigue and then lead in overall increased exercise performance. As for effectiveness of beetroot juice, of the 8 studies I looked at, a total of 5 found the supplement to be effective, while 3 found no benefits in performance. And here you can read a summary of the main conclusions found in each study. A limitation within all these studies included a very small sample size of athletes. Although there could be a number of reasons, in the study published by Lopez Simones and Lowings et al., the participants were elites or well-trained Division I athletes, which I'll talk about in the next slide. Also, compared to the other studies, they were given a smaller dosage of beetroot juice over a 1-day period, which may or may not have been enough to see performance effects. In the study published by DeCastro, limitations within the study included, although the dosage was greater, it was only administered over 2 days, which may not have been enough time to see effects, and it was studied on endurance athletes, which I'll also talk about in the next slide. Researchers are finding, though not entirely clear on the mechanism, that beetroot juice supplementation has a direct effect on changing the intracellular calcium handling within the type 2 muscle fibers to improve muscle contraction. Since the type 2 muscle fibers are used in high-intensity intermittent exercise, the supplement is hypothesized to be most effective in these types of sports. The studies by Quensa, Thompson, Nyakaru, Wiley, and Bond all performed high-intensity intermittent tests on athletes as part of their experimental protocol, and they found that the beetroot juice was effective. And then beetroot juice's effectiveness on high intermittent exercise was also supported by the DeCastro article, which analyzed the supplement's effectiveness on a 10K long race, which is endurance based. As for the participants' characteristics, Starting with gender, within the study, almost all were performed on males. From the one study that was performed on both males and females, they did not measure the effect of beetroot juice supplementation based on gender. And then from the studies analyzed, it is unclear whether supplementation, if at all, is most effective in one gender over the other. When looking at the participants' age, ages range from 16 to 27, as this is the peak exercise age for many sports. No discussion was brought up, though, to which age the supplement is most effective. And then lastly, when looking at the intensity of exercise the athletes trained or competed at, almost all the athletes characterized as the recreational study found the supplement to be beneficial. The exception was in those in the De Castro study, which looked at long distance runners. In contrast, of the two studies performed on elites, neither found supplementation effective. Supplementation is thought to be most effective in recreational athletes because well-trained athletes naturally have a higher presence of nitric oxide metabolites within the body, making them less receptive to the effects of supplementation. Moving into how to use the supplement, so beetroot juice can only be consumed in the liquid form and is often consumed at a highly concentrated dose in small amounts. And then in this table, you can see the protocol, the dosage, timing, and form each should be utilized. Although none of the studies were able to suggest a common dose recommendation, as you can see from the table, these studies are indicating that for recreational athletes, a dose as low as 70 milliliters can be effective. In high-intensity intermittent sports, however, this isn't the case for elite or well-trained athletes, as they may need doses as high as 3,000 milliliters to see performance benefits. So now looking at the safety of beetroot juice, so there's very few short-term effects. Some of them include temporary red coloring of the urine, which is known as beeturia, and then reddening to the stools. However, this is harmless. In one of the studies I looked at, there was reports of some GI discomfort. However, it was very minimal as in the 32 participants studied, only 2 of them had the GI discomfort. Some long-term side effects include kidney stones because of the high oxalate levels that are naturally found in beets. And then there can also be liver dysfunction due to the binding of metal ions. And then also with the oxalate content within beets, this can decrease the this can inhibit mineral absorption of iron, calcium, zinc, and manganese, although pretty rare. And then it's also important to not consume this supplement if you have a beet allergy, if you're pregnant because of sensitivity to nitrate, and then also if you have a kidney disorder. And then all the studies that I looked at had the participants refrain from the use of antibacterial mouthwash, toothpaste, or gum, and this was because it interferes with the reduction of nitrate to nitrite. So this could then interfere with the benefits to performance. And looking at the purity of beetroot juice, so the IHSA, the NCAA, and then the World Anti-Doping Agency all consider the supplement to be legal. However, athletes may not realize that the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, which is a legislation that created the legal definition of dietary supplements and then labeling guidelines for supplements, does not confirm effectiveness or safety of supplements. And then in addition, the FDA does not have the authority to make supplements gain approval or safety before they are actually sold. Also, athletes must understand that the standardization is not exact meaning the amount of active ingredient within the supplement may vary within the products, making variation in performance outcomes possible. So definitely with supplements, athletes always have to use caution with them. So two brands that I looked at that met the criteria for purity was the Beat It sports shots, which a lot of the studies that I looked at, they utilized this specific brand. And and this is just a liquid form that you consume. And then also another brand that I found that met the criteria was Human N, and this is it comes in a powder, and then you put a teaspoon in water and then dissolve it in water. Beat It sports shots cost 5 cents per milliliter, and Human N costs 9 cents per milliliter. So as one can see, the Beat It sports shot is much more cost effective, but it is important to keep in mind this is just the cost for 1 month, and as a result, the supplement can get very expensive. There are mixed conclusions in terms of the effectiveness of beetroot juice in performance, which must be considered by the athlete before purchasing, as it is unclear whether the cost is actually worth it. And then in terms of performance success, until more research is confirmed, if an athlete is interested in trying beetroot juice, it may be cheaper if they have the appliances available to purchase beets to juice and then create it at home. In addition to reduce cost, athletes may want to first increase their dietary rich sources of inorganic nitrates such as dark leafy greens, celery, and carrots. But overall, the research does not confirm cost translates into guaranteed performance success. In conclusion, some of the literature has found both improvements in performance, especially in high intensity intermittent exercise as a result of beetroot juice supplementation, while some literature has not, especially within elite or well-trained athletes. There still is a lot of research that needs to be done on this topic, such as finding the exact dose range, if any, that results in performance benefits, whether there is a difference in performance benefits based on gender and age, and if there are more benefits seen through supplementation for a long period of time or just over a few weeks. And lastly, if there is a specific point during exercise beetroot juice has the most beneficial effect on, or whether this is dependent on the sport type. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.